Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning in as I go through a review of equations. Now, because you've done these since year 7, I'm going to go through the examples here quicker. So remember, an equation is something with an equal sign and you have to find the value of a pronumeral. So you've been doing questions like this: 7x plus 13 equals 41. So to find the value of x, we need to undo everything we've already done to x. So what have we done to x? Well, we times it by 7 first, because of BODMAS, we times first, then we added 13. So when I'm solving for x, I need to undo what's been done in the opposite order to BODMAS, okay? So I have to do this one first, because I'm doing it in the opposite order. So the way I undo adding 13 is to subtract 13. But what you do to one side of the equation, you must do to the other. So if I subtract 13 from the left-hand side, I have to do to the right-hand side. So I get 7x plus 13 and minus 13 cancel out, equals 41 minus 13, which is 28. So now I've got 7 times x. So the way I undo timesing by 7 is divide each side by 7, and I get x equals 28 divided by 7, which is 4. Okay, let's say I have some brackets now. So let's say I have something like 8x minus 3 equals, let's say, 72. Okay, so there are a couple of ways you can do it. You can expand the brackets or divide by 8 first. Doesn't worry me which way you do it. So because of BODMAS, what we've done first is minus 3, so that's first, and second we times by 8. So if I want to solve that, the first thing I need to do is undo timesing by 8. So I'm going to do that by dividing each side by 8. Okay, so the 8's cancel each other out. I'm left with x minus 3 equals 72 minus 8. 72 divided by 8, which is 9. Then I just add 3 to both sides. Remember, what you do to one side of the equation, you must do to the other. So I'm just left with x equals 12. Okay, some of these will involve fractions. Remember, fractions just means divide. So let's say I have x over 2 plus 9 equals 21. So here I need to subtract 9 first from each side, because that's the thing I would have done last. So I get x over 2 equals 21 minus 9, which is 12. The 9's cancelled out, by the way. So then to undo dividing, so this line means divide. To undo dividing by 2, I need to times each side by 2. So the 2's cancel out, and I'm left with x equals 12 times 2, which is 24. So if I have something like this, x plus 9 over 2 equals 21, the only difference between this equation and this equation is order of operations. But I will get a different answer. So it's really important that you get the order of operations right. So here in the bottom one, what I've done is added 9 first, then divided by 2. So when I'm solving it, the first thing I need to do is undo dividing by 2. So I times by 2. So I'm just left with x plus 9, because the 2's cancel out, equals 21 times 2. Then I need to undo adding 9 by subtracting 9 from each side, and I get x equals 42 minus 9 equals 33. Now remember, you can check any of your answers by substituting into the original equation and making sure you get a true statement. So x equals 33, I can substitute x for 33. So 33 plus 9 divided by 2 equals 21. You can put it on your calculator if you don't believe me. That is a true statement, therefore I know that my answer is correct. So now I just need to show you examples where x, or the pronumeral you're trying to find, shows up in more than one spot. So let's say I have a question like this. So the only way this differs from the previous examples is that x is in more than one spot. So when that happens, you do exactly the same process that I showed you, except first you must get x to one spot. So here, the only way I can get x to one spot is I need to expand the brackets. I have no choice here. So remember, expanding brackets, 7 times x, 7 times 2, positive times a positive equals a positive. Similarly here, 6 times x, 6 times 4, and a positive times a positive. Now, when you have x on both sides of the equation, what you do is you subtract the x with the lowest coefficient from both sides. Okay, and of course, coefficient just means number in front of. So here we have x on the left-hand and the right-hand side of the equation. So what I do to both sides is I subtract the one with the lowest number in front of. So here I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides. So then I get 7x minus 6x is just 1x plus 14 equals, so 6x minus 6x cancel out. I'm just left with 24 on the right-hand side. So therefore, x plus 14 equals 24. You subtract 14 from both sides, you get x equals 10. Okay, so always follow this rule if x is on both sides of the equation. So I'm just going to show you one harder example before I finish. So let's go ahead and do this example here. So again, my first goal is to get x to one spot, okay? So because I have these 3 here, that's really annoying. It makes things harder. What I'm going to do first is times both sides by 3 to get rid of that. That will just make things so much easier. Remember, you can do whatever you want to one side of the equation as long as you do the same to the other side. So if I times by 3, the 3's cancel out. I'm left with 6 minus x equals, now if I'm timesing the right-hand side here by 3, I have to times the whole thing by 3. I have to do this, times the whole thing by 3. So 3 times 4x becomes 12x, 3 times negative 9 is negative 27, okay? So that's just getting this equation much, much easier to work with. So now I'm going to do that step that I told you about the other slide. If I want to get x, so it's only on one side of the equation, I need to subtract the x with the lowest number in front. So when you have just a minus x, that means the coefficient is minus 1. So this is the x with the lowest number in front. So I'm going to subtract negative 1x, which is the same as adding x. I'm going to add x to both sides so it disappears from the left-hand side. So minus x plus x is 0. I'm left with 6 equals 12x plus x, 13x minus 27. So now it's just like all the other easy ones I've done. I'm going to add 27 to both sides, and then I'm going to divide by 13. Now 33 doesn't divide 13 evenly. You don't always get whole numbers with this. So the answer here will be a fraction. 13 divided by 33. Okay? Hope you've enjoyed this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.